This week in comic books, we have a very, very small haul because I am exhausted. But we did pick up Silverhawks. We got some of that Atom project from DC, and just some random Marvel book, really. So we're just going to jump right into it. But first, I have to show you a coffee advertisement because I'm really proud of them. And then we'll talk. Here we go. Alright, you wonderful weirdos, welcome back to this week's comic book haul and review, and we're going old school with this one. Not a whole lot of cuts, not a whole lot of editing, and I'll explain why at the end of the video, so if those of you that don't want to watch it, you don't have to. But let's kick this off with Absolute Superman. We're kicking this off. We're going with more of a social story in this, focusing more on the social impact of big business inside of these third world countries. And Superman kind of this vague secret hero in it, right? If you haven't picked that part up yet, I'm not sure what you're reading, right? But I will say I do enjoy this. Normally I don't like these kind of stories because they tend to kind of skewer just absolute facts. But in this one, we can just say it's another universe and just be happy with that. And that's how I'm kind of accepting it. If I had to look at this through the lens of our world and when we looked at it, I would have different review for this. Like some of the countries they were mentioning in it, if we were to look through the lens, these are not countries that are being affected by big businesses in the U.S. or anything like that. They have huger, is that a word? I don't know. They have bigger problems than some major corporation in there. So I'm just looking at this through the lens of it's a different universe and that's what's happening there. And I think that's solid. In this one, of course, we've seen Lois Lane. We finally get a picture of Jimmy Olsen in it. What's his role in this universe and what does he do? He's a freedom fighter, basically. We have two fractions that are coming together. Big business and this kind of freedom fighter, rebellion type squad, and then the poor people suffering in between. And what's Superman's role in all of this and what's his role to be played? I think it's an interesting story. I really do like it. I really like the fact that the Peacemakers, any complaints that they have about the system, tends to get overshot and reworded, right? This sometimes happens in the real world. Like, hey, I couldn't help myself. I shot down all these people. So you're saying your gun malfunctioned. And I thought that was... it's like, no, that's not what he said, but I see that being the narrative. So all in all, I do like this. Again, it needs to be looked at in the lens of not in our world, not in our reality, not in normal mainstream comic book reality or its world, but just as its own separate universe, and I think that would be a lot more enjoyable. Moving on, the Atom Project. I get that this book is probably not for everybody. I'm not a big fan of the interior art of this, and with this being issue 2, we're kind of understanding the point of this. So your story here is basically, and you've heard this, right? Trust the science, trust the science. So you get these different perspectives of how to approach a problem. You get the scientists, cold hard facts and data. Humanity tends to get thrown out the window along with creativity, right? To fix a problem. Cold hard facts, data, experiment, research, yada, 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 right? That's well, that's the role that we're kind of taking with the Justice League here in this role. And then we got the military. Military doesn't bend that way on either one of those. The perception of reality is the reality, and that needs to stop and be fixed. And then we have the point that I kind of hope kind of comes into play at some point, that you can take science and add some creativity to it to better problem solve. That's how you ultimately get to a solution versus an answer. And those are two different things. So I kind of hope that gets approached. And the reason why they're coming to all this, because Captain Atom, who's basically a walking nuclear reactor, has his powers back, right? Because a bear had them. That was a little comic book woo-ish in there. I get it. But okay, whatever. You needed some sort of action in it. Why not have a nuclear bear attack you and take your powers back? Basically. But all in all, the conflict in here, again, isn't the action and stuff in between it. It's more of the back end story to it. The things being said, right? And I enjoy it for that. Moving on. Legacy of Vader. I don't... So, the writer of this comic book, I never look at the writers, I'm not going to start now. Basically, this picks up right after the movies with Kylo Ren and what he does once he leaves the movie and goes and tries to create his own legacy, but constantly being haunted by Vader, right? And his whole shtick in the movie, if you remember, was kill the past, right? This is where I would add a video cut of him saying, kill the past. But I'm not doing that today. But kill the past, right? But in this one, he meets up with an android, and it's like, well, wait a second. It was the past that gave Vader his strength, right? The dark side, right? And how you should kind of embrace some of that, because all this fighting you're doing isn't getting you anywhere. Persuasive argument, I might add. But for the most part, there was just a lot of inconsistencies in this. So if you're like a fan of those particular movies and you think that this is just going to be an extension of it, no, they just do a 180 on it. So, I don't know. No. And he does a lot of whining and throwing tantrums. And I get that's like, right, the passion, the dark side of the Force falling into that. But real evil doesn't need to throw a tantrum. It just does evil stuff. All right, and last but not least, so Silverhawks. If you didn't know, I got an Ashcan preview of this that told nothing of the story, and I criticized the art in it, and I'm still holding that criticism. With the amount of covers, these beautiful, beautiful covers, all of them, that they have come out with, I felt like they were just spending all their artistic focus on, you know, that kind of FOMO cash grab now because the cover looks really cool. And then they just kind of chintzied up the art into it. So what is this about? It's pretty standard to the old cartoon. If you watch the intro to the old cartoon, you kind of get what this first issue is about. So where do they take it from here? I don't know. Basic rundown, Munstar kind of breaks free from prison. He's been in prison for like 100 years. There was a fraction of Silverhawks in the past that originally put him in there, and now we're redeveloping or relaunching that program, right? These government backed sort of police hero types, and they're cybernetically advanced for the most part. So that's your basic haul and review right there. I apologize for not doing a video last week. And to be honest, I wasn't going to do one today either. I've been kind of burned out lately. And not YouTube stuff, just other stuff. And when YouTube feels like it's something you have to get done and it's not as fun, right? You tend to lose the energy, like this video here. So first off, let me say thank you to the people that sent me DMs saying, hey, notice you didn't do a video. You never miss a week. What's going on? I'm just burned out. Like new administration, work stuff, schedules, timing, spending time with my grandson, an Evil Layer project that is just not working in my favor because I missed that as well, that deadline, and I'm just hard-nosed to get this one particular thing done so I can share it with you. I think every YouTuber, right, or content creator or whatever the hell we are on this platform, I think we all go through it. And to be honest, a lot of this kind of drama in the community too, I'm just finding myself, I don't care. Like people that in the community that have met me in person know how I feel about this kind of stuff. I'm just not interested in it. It just seems like a lot of backbiting going on right now. And I'm sure their arguments are justified. I'm sure their perceptions are justified. I'm not taking anything away from anybody out there. But it's like everything that I want to watch now just kind of, I don't know, just feels like this sucks the energy out of me. It makes this less fun. So I forced myself to do this one. So if it's not as energetic as normal, I do apologize. I do want to give a big shout out over to Gary B. Inviting me on to the 1011. I don't ask for help, but I don't know. I guess some people just know it. And he asked me to help co-host, and anything I can do, I'm always happy to do. If you can, you should. It's always been my philosophy here. And I was able to get on and be able to hang out with him and Scott from Hoarder's Hide, good friend, gave me the silver fever. And it was that made me happy again to be able to hang out with those people again, and that really means a lot. And I know sometimes I'm not the best at thank yous and like emotional reassurance with people. I'm just not good at that stuff. So thank you to Gary B for inviting me on it. It probably means more than you know. And being able to hang out with Scott from Hoarder's Hide, who I hadn't seen in a while. It was super good hanging out with you. Just looking at original comic book art from for comic book pages, and being able to walk through that and listening to a lot of history and how he got them. That was refreshing for me. And I learned something. So that was really cool. So again, big shout out. I will do something a little extra in this video. I am going to pin the link to that show down below. Definitely give it a check out. We had a great time. We had a great time. And we didn't have to deal in the uckety muck of whatever's going on in the community or parts of the community or whatever. It was a nice break. So with nothing else to say, I'm going to go ahead and head out. I might go take a nap. I'm hungry and I need a nap. I think that will fix everything. So I'll talk to you all next week. Bye.